Hey, this is Sky. Welcome to my YouTube channel. It's Monday night. We're going to get into some Mafia stories. Mafia Monday. Let's jump into it. We're starting a new chapter, Chapter 5. So, our main character, Simon Castro, in Chapter 4, at the end of Chapter 4, and you can go watch the videos. We're doing it every Monday. He just got made into the Los Angeles crime family. His father is a boss in the family. His uncle is also a boss in the family. And he's at a big party. So let's pick it up where we left off. At the party, Chapter 5. Put yourself in the mood. What can I show you? Of course, I got the snubby. I always have the snubby. Oh, and I got this crazy knife. I've had this for years. I don't know really much history about it, but I like the way that the blade goes, and oh, that would hurt if that got stuck into you, I bet. The holster for this, the sheath for this is awful. Big, giant, ugly piece of leather. I was thinking about getting something specially made for it because I know a leather guy. Make me a cool sheath for that. So let's jump into it. Mafia Monday. Our main character, Simon Castro. Chapter 5. Cupid's Arrow. The evening turned into late night, and then we had a special guest arrive. Tommy Guns stood up from his massive leather chair placed in the corner of the rear patio, like a king stepping up from his throne. He tapped his crystal glass with a spoon to get everyone's attention. Whispers went through the crowd like a wind blowing across the trees. Two men in black suits came out onto the patio from the house, stood by the door in ready position, like G-men guarding the President of the United States. Security at Tommy's mansion was tighter at that moment than it had been at any point during the night. It felt like those black-suited syndicate men were everywhere, swarming like bees around a hive. We all stood up, watching the entrance in anticipation, wondering who was about to come through the doors. When the little dwarf butler came scurrying out onto the patio, he said, "Please welcome the chairman of the board, the man who created the Los Angeles Syndicate and created generations of peace in result. Without this legend, the mobs would all have killed each other off decades ago. The boss of all bosses, Mr. Carl Castro." Every single person in the room wanted to line up and shake the hand of my grandfather as he emerged out to the patio and joined the party. I was just as excited to see the old man as the others. He had an air about him that made him larger than life. He was a real celebrity gangster, if there ever was one. He started the Syndicate back in the 1930s, and everybody respected him for it. He was the model of the LA gangster, and for generations, everybody wanted to look like him. Everyone in the streets wanted to be my grandfather. For most guys, standing next to Carl Castro for even 2 seconds felt like being a part of history. But to me, he was just my grandpa. I saw him as the man who never yelled at me, always believed in me, and had the qualities of a man that I wished my own father really would display. My grandfather didn't yell. He was intelligent, and he had a sophistication to him that world leaders or philosophers could respect. My grandfather raised his left hand, waving to the entire patio filled with guests. He said, "Hello, everyone. Please, my friends, don't line up for me. I'll make my way around the room to each of you. Enjoy yourselves, and thank you for such a great show of respect." The party resumed, and the energy seemed to go from dull to lively with my grandfather's presence. The volume of conversation on the patio seemed louder than before. People began to relax as the music was turned on the outside speakers. The wait staff began circling the patio like an army, taking drink orders and passing out expensive cigars. I declined mine and told the chick to give it to Frank. Those stogies they were passing out were worth $500 each, but they were free to made guys. My Uncle Frank leaned over to me, already drunk. He let out a burp from his fat belly and said, "That is the West Coast Al Capone right there. Your grandfather, my father, was raised by the first real boss of LA, Joseph, Arizona. Did you know that?" I replied, "No, I don't know who that is." Uncle Frank looked at me like I was stupid. and then said, well, Joseph Arizona was by far the most loved Black Hand Mafia Don who ever ran the Los Angeles family. My father was asked to take his place after Joseph was murdered. But he didn't want the job. You see, he was already the boss of a very successful downtown gang, the infamous DTGs, the Downtown Gangsters. I replied, Grandpa was asked to run the LA family and he declined? What the hell? That's nuts. Frank took a drink off his glass and then said, see, Carl Castro, my father, helped Tommy Guns, who was Joseph's underboss at the time, to get picked as the next Don. It was a humble and surprising move to everyone. The next day, he inducted Tommy onto the Syndicate board of directors, taking Joseph's seat. The rest is history. I was confused. I replied, I always thought my grandfather's Downtown Gangsters were just another part of the LA family, right? Frank said, the Los Angeles Syndicate is like the commission back east, except out here, we have other mobs at our table. Cosa Nostra only has one seat. This is how your grandfather kept the peace during the booze wars during Prohibition. He brought the largest, most powerful mobs in the city together. Rackets and turf are supposed to be shared, but sometimes arguments happen because, we're all greedy criminals after all. Your grandfather has been the glue that keeps the syndicate together. You didn't hear it from me, but when he goes, the whole thing will crumble. Let's stop right there. We'll pick up next Monday. Thanks for watching.